Does it have an eraser on it?
Good evening, everyone, and welcome to Coffee with Mildred. I'm Maria.
Hi, I'm Tracy.
And we're with the Cook County Historical Society. Glad to have you with us tonight. Do you want to talk about September?
Yeah, I want to talk about why we're wearing our masks.
Okay, that too.
It's for me to hide my double chin. So I'm very thankful for that. So
yeah, there we go.
Thank you for accommodating me.
No problem.
So I don't look so. Anyway, yes, I will tell you about that. Become a member in September for our Cook County Historical Society. We would love to have you as a member. It just drives our whole organization, and it's lovely to learn about the history. I'm new to Cook County, newer-ish to Cook County, and I have really been enjoying digging deep and learning about the history here, and I really encourage you to do it too. You don't even have to live in Cook County, just because it's so fascinating to learn about the North Shore and its roots and its history and how it's come about. So I've really just been fascinated by everybody's story, and I love Coffee with Mildred. So becoming a member in September is easy. Just go to the Cook County Historical Society website.
cookcountyhistory.org. Mm-hmm.
And we're on Facebook as well. And any of those places will lead you to where you become a member of our organization. The best part about becoming a member in September is that there is a long list of businesses that have given great prizes. And we've already given away 2, I think, if I remember correctly. They have your name goes into a drawing if you become a member in September, or if you auto pay, go on to the auto pay system. So maybe you're already a member, but you want to go into the auto pay. Your name goes into a drawing. So we have amazing gifts from Angry Trout. I think I would like that gift. I love going there to eat. We have Birch Bark Books and Gifts. We've got the Trail Center has dinner for 2. So really great gifts. We really encourage you to go on and become a member and consider joining our organization and learning all these great things about Cook County. Mario.
Excellent. So tonight's program is called Coffee with Mildred. And we don't have a Mildred here, but she's with us in spirit. So this idea came about because it's just wonderful getting together with people over coffee break, which is how it used to be. There was a lovely lady named Mildred who I've heard many stories about coffee breaks at her house, and just talking about history and people getting to know more about their community and their own family's history and whatnot. So I wanted to bring that to the museum, and what better way than to do it on YouTube and to stream live with you guys. And we've, for the month of September, last week we had Wayne Anderson. You can go back and look at that at Wayne Anderson and Family. And then this week we have the Rydens family. So if you've heard of Rydens Border Store or Rydens Gas, we're going to be talking to them. Next week we have Ginger Berglund and friends, and then Eleanor Waha and her family, and then the Spry family at the end of the month. So without further ado, we are going to begin tonight's session. And I'm going to turn the camera around here, and we're just going to go around and introduce everybody. So this is...
I'm Joy.
I'm Pete Ryden.
I'm Pete's wife, Phyllis.
I'm Debbie.
I'm Sam.
Hi.
That's my son, Kai. He's our production assistant. So there we go. We're going to start with Joy and Pete. So let's start at the beginning of how your family came to Cook County. Your parents came out here. They were Ed and Mabel Ryden, correct?
Yes.
And how did they end up here from where were they originally?
Hill City, Minnesota.
Okay.
My dad was a logger down here. He had logged up around Big Fork and different places around the country. He was a broker for the Bland and Paper Company too, sold them. Other loggers would sell it through him to Bland and Paper Company. But then he got injured with a lawnmower, so mowing grass, and he cut his foot, so he couldn't work.
Of all the things.
So he took a vacation and came up north, and his brother-in-law had been up fishing and said, "There's a resort up there for sale. You go look at it." So they came up and looked at it, ended up buying it.
It was then
That
called
was in
Sextus Lindall's Hotel
Okay.
It
in
was
47.
1947.
And that area was called Sextus City, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay. So then your parents ended up buying it and called it Rydens right away, or?
Rydens Pigeon River Resort.
Okay. And I know that I have a map here somewhere. So originally, I don't know if everyone can see this. Originally it was up here at the old border crossing. And was there a border crossing when he started?
Well, yeah. It's
Yes,
been
the
there,
old bridge
yeah.
was there.
They built the old Olive Bridge in, 1919, I think they built that.
Something like that, yeah.
That was to do with
the
a car club built it,
It
didn't
was a
they?
car
So they
club,
could get across,
Yeah.
which was illegal. That's why it was called
Oh, the
outlaw.
Outlaw Bridge. I think there was a lot of bootlegging going on with that.
Uh-huh. I've heard it called the Bootleggers Bridge too.
Right,
Yeah.
right.
And so then when was the new bridge put in?
The new one there was in 1933, I think. The steel bridge was put in.
And that went right next to the
Right next,
Outlaw
right
Bridge.
next to the Outlaw Bridge. Yeah.
And your dad actually owned Customs back then. The Customs building.
Yeah, well, yeah, we owned a custom building. And then he built a new one. The old one was getting kind of old and stuff, and it was on the wrong side of the road. Actually, it was on the right side of the road going north, so all the cars coming out of Canada had to kind of cross traffic, had to cross to get, it was kind of a mess. So then they built a new one on the west side of the street, so it was on the right side of the road with cars coming back, and they used that until the road moved. Then he moved that to the new border, and that made it, the custom used it there for the first year or so until he got the new custom built up there. And then now it's apartments, a couple of apartments.
And that's the new border. There. So what was it like growing up there at the original?
Nice and quiet and peaceful. Good hunting and fishing and
This
traveling.
one here is the customs building that my dad had built on this side, and then that's looking into Canada across the bridge there, where there was a hotel and another customs building. And
So I heard you were fairly young when you were living there.
I was
Yeah.
4 when we came to Pigeon
Yeah.
River.
I was
Okay.
eight. I was 8.
So I heard that you got tied up.
Got tied up?
Yeah, when you were younger.
The younger ones did.
Oh, the younger ones, yeah. They had the harnesses on them. I had them to a tree or something. So they could,
Keep us from falling in the river, my mom.
because the river was like 40 feet straight down to the water. So you want to fall over the edge.
Right, that would be kind of tragic to have that.
So Clyde and Joy probably, I don't know if Larry ever did or not. He's probably the one that should have been tied.
Sorry, Larry.
So one of the things from Gordy Lindemann did an interview with your parents back in 1980.
Yeah, somewhere around.
Yeah, somewhere in there. The date at the top says 1947, but I don't think that's right.
No,
When they bought it,
wasn't
that's
there,
the year
no.
they bought it.
Yeah.
They bought it.
And one of the questions he was asked was if any famous people came through. So who are some of the famous people that came through the border when you were growing up that you can remember?
The midgets that used to wrestle, I don't know what they were called. They used to
Midget wrestlers,
come in the store, and of course my dad was not a midget, he was a big man. But they would jump around by him and show some of their moves, and it was kind of fun to see. And Liberace was in the restaurant and had pie, I believe.
This was at the old border.
The old
you're
border,
talking.
Liberace
Yeah, the old
was-
border.
at the old border.
This is all at
Yeah.
the old border.
Johnny
yeah.
Cash came through. I waited on him at the new border.
Why not?
On Judd. Yeah. Everly Brothers were in there.
That's it. You're talking about the new
The
border?
new border. Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah.
Johnny Cash was at the old border too.
Not that I remember.
Yeah, I don't know if I remember him being there or not.
And Kitty Wells?
Kitty Wilson,
Kitty Wells was.
you
Hank Snow.
pulled them out of the
We
ditch,
pulled them out
didn't you?
of Snowbank at Taylor's Field. There was big dress user up by close to Mineral Center. There was a drift in there. We were driving this like it was 52 Cadillac. Got stuck in the snowbank.
The Globetrotters, they would bring their basketball in and
Yeah, they used
play
to go
in
back and
the.
forth to Thunder Bay quite a bit. Globetrotters.
Mhm.
Oh, very fun.
Mhm.
It was mostly country western singers and stuff like that that would go to
Wasn't there a
the
baseball team at one
Yeah.
point?
Karen Young.
No?
The Globetrotters are baseball.
No, it's
Basketball.
Basketball.
Oh, I'm sorry. Baseball.
They went through quite a bit. They played basketball in
Yeah.
Grand Ray too. And watching the Globetrotters play in Grand Ray.
Mhm.
I think my dad played against them.
They-
Yeah, there was or maybe it was the Minnesota Vikings football team came and did like a basketball fundraiser. So it was football players against
Yeah,
locals.
yeah, I remember that.
Yeah.
That was the donkey basketball, wasn't it?
There was some donkey
No.
basketball. That was different.
And yeah. So so when you were at the old border, was Grand Portage yet?
Yeah, oh yeah.
Oh,
it was,
yeah.
Okay, so that was down
It
by the
always-
lake.
yeah, always Grand Portage.
And then there was Mineral Center as well,
Mhm.
which was up.
Between
7
Kinda halfway
miles
between
from
the
us.
two, yeah.
kind of halfway,
Halfway
between
between.
both them and Reservation. It was kind of in the like a triangle coming
Mhm.
from Grand Portage. Reservation in Rydens up there, and then Mineral Center was right in the middle.
Between
There
them.
was kind of a fork there.
Yeah. And Mineral, I mean, what else was by where you were at Sextus City?
Just
We
was
had
all-
22 cabins, 22 or 23 cabins at the old border
Mhm.
that we rented out. They didn't have any running water in them.
outhouses.
Yeah, some of the names are Bachelor Inn and Honeymoon, which were two little log cabins right next to each other. There's a picture in here somewhere of the two of them.
Yeah, there was a picture of a little
Um,
log cabin. They were neat.
Wasn't there a
little
wolf den and?
We lived in one cabin, the Wolf Den, in the summertime, and then we lived up in the hotel in the wintertime. And then we moved into a cabin called Hollywood that was next to the store just before the house was built, which was built in 1959, the new house. And then that was moved from the old border to the new border. And that's the house that Sam has now, but it's been completely redone. Don't look the same at all.
And you
there was
actually
a
had,
honeymoon cabin there.
okay. And you
Little log
actually had quite a lot of people that would stay there because
It was
the border
busy.
closed.
Yeah,
11
close.
o'clock at night, it closed. They put a chain gate across the border so you couldn't go across, and then it wouldn't open till 7 the next morning. So during moose season and fishing season, Phyllis and I and the people who run it, we'd have to be down there like 5 in the morning to open the restaurant up because people were hungry and they'd come in the restaurant and eat, and then the border would open at 7, and they would all take off. But there would be cars all the way up the hill from the border.
And the Canadians wouldn't always, they would walk across the border a lot too,
On
is what I
Sundays,
was reading.
Mostly on Sunday they come over to drink beer.
There was a beer
There was
garden,
a big beer garden.
Yeah.
there,
and it
That
was
the
busy.
business.
Okay.
At your
Couldn't
store.
drink-
Yeah.
Mhm.
that's
You
right,
couldn't
yeah.
drink in Canada on Sundays.
You couldn't drink in Siena on Sundays, so they'd come down there. And they'd park in the Canadian, all lined up all along way up there on the Canadian side, and they'd walk across.
Well, and they would have to have a permit too in order to drive across.
Mm, I
Yeah,
don't think
I don't
so.
remember. There was some, yeah, they had to have some kind of a. I'm
To
not
prove
sure
if they
what it
were
was.
Canadians
Prove,
or
yeah.
US citizens,
Yeah.
some
Just like
passport,
an
I
ID
don't know
card.
if
They
they.
didn't have to have passports then.
I don't know. That was something
Yeah.
I picked up from the interview.
I don't remember anybody ever having.
Yeah, there was something, but
Because
So
they would park at Rydens on your side too. They wouldn't all walk
no, even all
across.
walk, a lot of them would drive down and just drive across and park all around it. Then Dad, he built a big, well, Dublin was a big place off it, made a bigger parking area for more cars. It was pretty congested because it wasn't that big right in that little area there.
yeah.
That was their biggest business, was on
Was
Sundays.
the beer garden, yeah. Beer
Was
garden
the
the
beer
biggest thing.
garden on Sunday. That's where they made their money back
Yeah.
then. And the cabins.
And candy bars, candy bars and red dot potato chips.
And they were in a big can, a big tin. The red dot potato chips come in a big tin can.
Oh,
And they, I don't,
We
were
have-
they
we
like
still
a
have two at
dollar?
the store.
Wasn't it $1 for
I think it
that
was $1
big
for the
tin
can, I think.
bag?
$1 was a lot worth
tin
that.
can? Yeah.
do you remember?
Canadians love that stuff because it was different. They couldn't never get that in Canada, so they really like that
The
stuff.
English toffee, they always bought.
English toffee, Macintosh toffee, they bought lots of that.
The little 5-cent candy bars added up a lot.
Yeah.
The way the Canadians bought them, they'd buy, you know,
And how much was a beer back then? Do you remember?
20, I don't know, was it 25 cents maybe? I don't, it was that much. Maybe it was
I
only,
don't-
maybe it was- I don't really don't remember. I guess.
Did you?
it's his brother.
I know they, because in Canada, you can only buy one, you can only have one beer in front of you at the bars in Canada when they were open. You can have one bottle. But here they could have all they want, so they, a lot of them just buy a case instead of on the table.
Oh my God.
Then we had these Stoltz or something like they were a big can, a gallon can of beer.
Yeah.
And they would buy those. Oh, they were messy though. They'd be pouring their beer and it was always a big mess and they'd like to stack them up as high as they could get them. They said, your beer is like drinking dishwater. Well, didn't look like they were drinking dishwater when they left.
Yeah,
I know when we were kids, we weren't allowed to grab our bikes or be around the store on Sundays because it was too many drunks at the new border.
They used to have to hire a cop.
Yeah.
Yeah, we had a
Fire.
cop
We
there.
weren't allowed to play. on
John
Sundays.
Koss was our cop at the old border.
The Light Boys, you remember the Light Boys that used
Yep.
to
Light
sing too?
Brothers.
They would come to the old border and play and sing
Yeah, they'd play in the bar there.
sometimes.
Oh, fun.
They were really good.
So me being newer to the area, I don't understand new border and old border. Like what happened that switched?
The highway changed along.
63.
The Lake Superior, what do you call it, Circle
Circle route,
Route?
when they
They
made the
wanted to be
circle route.
closer to the lake.
All the lake all around.
So let's see here. The old Highway 61 went here,
Oh.
and then the new Highway 61 went here.
Yeah.
Probably had enough hindsight to go and get some property and
Yeah. And
Well, the store burnt down in 1959. Isn't that the year Mom and Dad planned on retiring, or it was their first vacation to go
First time-
someplace?
vacation, yeah.
First
California,
vacation to
actually.
go, and the store burnt down when they were gone.
no,
No, he just
They
got
were
So we
back,
just
back
got
the day
home,
just
okay.
got back the day before, I think.
Okay. Anyways, he built it back up again, even
3
knowing
weeks, I
that the
think.
highway was gonna change. Cause it wouldn't be till 63, right? He knew it was gonna,
Well, yeah, he knew
but he still had to rebuild and they
'Cause he
used some of
bought
the
the
old
land.
burnt blocks and stuff
Yeah.
and rebuilt it.
Actually, they moved the beer garden over to what used to be the old Customs, I think, didn't they? And there were Abby and Ray and they
Yeah,
stayed
Yeah,
Yeah.
for
yeah.
just 3 weeks while they built the
They built the new one, so they
new
never did.
store. So they
clo-
never
close
really
up-
did
close up
totally
totally.
close. He still had the Canadians coming down.
What caused the fire?
They think smoldering cigarettes
Yeah,
that
cigarette fun.
somebody
In a
threw
garbage
in the
can.
garbage.
Oh.
Garbage
Wrong
can.
or something or other.
Sunday night, everybody else had to clean up and leave. It'd be midnight when they finally all left to clean up. And somebody dumped it. I don't know who's, nobody really knows it.
Who was working.
Yeah, they
Well,
just
Uncle
assume
Ray and
that-
Aunt Abby, my aunt and
Assume
uncle.
somebody dumped the ashtrays, but we usually don't dump the ashtrays till next day. Cause it could be something, someone, that's probably what happened. Then there was an oil burner too there that they think, could have been an oil burner, but they pretty much think it was a cigarette thing that someone dumped in the air. Garbage.
Wasn't there a truck driver that was sitting in his truck out there and seen the explosion? Or seen the fire?
Seen the fire or something, yeah.
And
And banging on the doors. or
they
something.
tried to get it out. I
Oh.
don't know.
And
The
it was
one-
like 10 below zero, and it was in February or something, yeah, in February, 1st of March. It was cold.
One neat thing that when it burnt down, they had this big sign that said Rydens on the top. That
I just
sign
had that too.
was still standing and hadn't been hurt, it was still when after the
so
fire.
they said
building.
the name still stands strong.
The name,
And
yeah.
from the building.
And
at
we
the
still
border
have
down
it,
here.
yeah.
Oh, I was gonna say,
I
they
had
don't
a
have
picture of
it.
it here too, just a minute ago.
So that was kind of,
Did you sell any kind of Canadian merchandise in your store too?
They always sell things that have Sam
Yeah,
still
so-
sells
so-
stuff
so
that
much
has
stuff that's coming from
Canada,
Canada.
has Canada on it, yeah.
But you
Go
did back
back
then
then?
too?
Yeah, I think they
I
did.
think they did, yeah. It's some stuff, souvenirs that had Canada on.
Dill pickle chips were what I got going to Canada. Ketchup,
Dill pickles?
ketchup potato chips. Those
Ketchup
are
potato
all,
chips,
oh
I've
yeah,
never
we
had
have,
those.
when we went to Canada, those are the foods that we looked for.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
They had the, across from Rydens on the Canadian side was, a motel and, store over there too, that had fine china, you know, the
Wow.
china that Canadians like so well and that kind of stuff, and I think they had dinners over there and stuff
They
too,
did, it
didn't
was a
they?
real fancy
Yeah.
dining room and China
Yeah.
shop. The rooms upstairs. They had a few cabins in the back too.
Here it is.
That was Max Herdick. His name was Max Herdick on that.
There's a picture of how the Rydens sign fell when it burnt.
The fire.
And Max Herdick
And
owned the
then
bus
this is when they
lines.
rebuilt right
Yeah, so-
away.
It looks a
Oh,
lot
that
smaller
wasn't
than it
empty.
is today.
Well, this is before,
That
because the
was
hotel
before it
burnt.
burned,
This
yeah,
was
because
before,
that
this is
golf
what
cart
burnt.
Yeah, that's what burnt.
And
He
then
had built
this is
it
what
new
was
before
left.
then, yeah.
Yeah.
And that was all at the old border crossing.
That's all at
right,
the old
yeah.
border crossing.
So then he built at the new border crossing when,
Before it actually opened,
okay.
before the
Highway?
That opened in
Highway.
1963,
November
the new
1st,
border.
Yeah.
1963.
When they started building in 61 or 2, when the highway was, you could get through there in what, 1960 maybe, because they had the road roughed in that big rock cut that
cut.
goes through there to get that
Okay.
open. And as soon as they got it open, then they started building up the border.
So your parents ran the store. They moved, again, they had a restaurant and cabins and
Beer
store
garden.
and beer garden.
Customs. They owned the building.
Yeah, and the hotel, it was a 2-story log hotel at the old border. That burned with the fire. That was all part of the fire. They used to rent rooms upstairs and that.
Oh. But they had all those same things at the new border too.
They didn't have cabins.
No,
Oh, they
No
didn't have
cabins.
cabins.
motel.
The 4-unit motel or 6-unit motel.
4.
4-unit motel.
That was later though too.
Yeah,
That
that was
wasn't
dad
right
did
away,
that,
yeah. That was when her dad came in. Got that. It came from Johnson's, Dwayne Johnson.
Wayne
had
Johnson
just
then
died.
built it down.
Oh.
He had a
his
little
place.
4-unit one right by his place,
Yeah.
and he wanted to sell it, so brought it and took it up there and put it up there.
So at what point, Pete, you took over Rydens Gas and Larry took over
The store, yeah.
the store?
That was in 72,
72.
I think.
Oh, so you ran it for quite a long time there.
Well, we've pretty much been out of it for 20 years.
Yeah,
97.
Mm.
97.
It can't be that long already.
It was when my kid was born, I know. He's
Yeah.
22.
Yeah.
We tore the old station down and built a new one, or we built a new one and then tore the old one down.
Yeah.
And worked for a year after that and then turned it over to them pretty much.
Too much
Retired.
electronic stuff, computers and.
I think they liked it better when they would pump the gas theirself, Pete and Phyllis, and then they would wash the
Wash the
windows.
windows.
Phyllis would have to put a milk carton down, so stand up on that to reach the windows.
There's still a lot of people that used to come in and say, does your mom still use that milk carton? Or
Back in the full service days, yeah.
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 It was
Check
pretty
the
much all
oil.
full service when we did it.
You do not rent rooms there anymore though.
No.
No.
You know, when our oldest daughter Sheila got to be, she was 11,
11.
made her go to work.
She was taller than me, so I figured if I could wash windows, then she could too. She still says we did slave labor on her. Paid her 75 cents an hour, she said.
And Joy, did you keep working at Rydens then, or did you
No.
do something else for a while, or?
Once they went to the new border, I had graduated from high school and then I went to nurses training and graduated from that in 62 and worked in Grand Marais Hospital up until my first son was born in March of 65.
What was the Grand Marais Hospital like in those days?
Let's see, I think it was
You could have a baby
10
there.
rooms or 12 rooms. Yeah.
Morning,
Yeah.
But I was working there. I'm an LPN, and Dr. McDonald and Dr. Pizarro were the doctors at that time. And when I was working, we were moving beds around because it was so full. There was a lot of people in there. We had beds in the halls because we didn't have enough rooms. And the doctor said, I think it's getting time for you to be quitting. I was 5 days overdue with my first baby. And the day I was up there helping move beds anyways, I had him that night.
So you were
That
in
would do it.
one of the beds then?
Yeah. I climbed into the bed
Did you
myself.
make your own bed?
Yeah.
Then you,
Went on a
after
fish.
she started fishing and
then-
logging.
Logging and fishing. Yeah. I married Joe Carlson and became a logger and a fisherman.
So did you, when you say logging and fishing, what was your role in the logging operation?
He taught me how to run the skidder, so I would drag the trees out, but he wouldn't let me touch the power saw. He would cut them all down, and then I would choke them up, and he would help me with some of them. Drag him out to the landing and help him buck on the landing. I would hold the marking stick, could not touch the saw. One day I was unhooking the chokers and a tree. The whole tree came off the chokers and fell down and hit my foot, broke my foot, and I was pinned there. The skidder was still running and I could still see trees going down. So I knew he couldn't hear me, I couldn't hear him. And anyways, I would always shut the saw off just to see if I'm coming back to the woods yet. And so he came out and he had to take the skidder and lift the log off my foot with the forks that we had on there and went in and it was broke.
Oh. How many other women were in logging when you were?
Virginia.
Oli
Johnson,
Watiziak,
probably.
she was working in
Oli
with Walter. We bought a sawmill from Walter Watiziak and then I became a sawyer in there or the edgerman. My husband was the sawyer. And our kids would pile lumber once in a while. And when they get home from school, we had other people piling lumber. And then my husband went to Alaska in 1969, and I followed him up in 74, and we would just fish in the summertime up there. And we just retired this year after 51 years for him and 47 for me.
In Alaska.
That's Alaska.
Wow.
Yeah. He still fishes out here for herring in the fall.
You talked a little bit about how Rydens had changed to, you said electronics, it was time to get out, so now it's your baby. What are some maybe bigger changes too that you've seen as the years have gone by?
It's totally a different business at Rydens now.
Well, where it used to be the beer garden, well, now there's the drinking and driving laws, so we don't sell on sale beer anymore. We don't have the restaurant anymore.
Yeah, what happened to the beer garden? Why did you stop it?
Dad always said there was more money in t-shirts.
You didn't have to deal with
Less
roads.
mess, less mess.
And I think the drinking and driving laws changed a lot too.
You always kind of change that.
And they were open in Canada on Sunday.
Correct, they changed the law in
They did change
Canada,
a lot of
yeah.
Canada, so they opened it up.
So
That's probably the
chains
biggest
come down.
Yeah.
And when did you guys take over from your dad?
Same, I don't know.
I don't know what's on that sheet, I don't remember.
Well, gave Larry the boot.
90, about 90,
Oh, okay,
yeah, right around 90.
before us.
So COVID came recently. How did that affect you? How is it affecting you right now? Because
Put us out of
It's
business.
devastating.
Yeah.
It's devastating.
And we're
Yeah.
closed, the gas station is, because we need the Canadian traffic to flow. And they're open a little bit, doing packages and whatever.
And a few
State
tourists
park
going to the
people are-
state park,
Yeah.
but,
You have
so
to
we've
tell
basically
them,
been closed for 6 months. So,
Sam, you have to tell them about the package thing, though. That's totally what the Rydens store is right now. A lot of it is.
so we accept parcels for Canadians. They get it shipped to our store and then they come down and pick it up because it's cheaper. They can get cheap gas, cheap booze, and they go back with their chips and candy and their product. And
But how did it get across the border?
Right now, they
well,
don't.
now they
No, they
can't.
don't, they can't, no.
Oh, I see.
That's
You're
why-
talking about,
But we used to be very, very quiet in the wintertime, and then this parcel businesses kind of give us a little second life in the wintertime. So,
But right now you just have packages piling up.
correct.
Yeah. It's a big pile.
Yeah.
So they're,
Every building
Every
is
nook and
full.
cranny, the old motel is full of parcels, and
Apartment that you had there for some of her help that just left.
the old
That's
customs
full.
building,
Yeah,
yeah.
the old
Customs building.
customs
it's just sitting there waiting to go
Yeah.
across the border.
Yeah.
I
It's gonna
know,
be a zoo when the border opens up to.
Yeah.
I
There we go.
recently answered a Facebook page where a Canadian was like, I really need my car to get fixed. It's at Rydens. Can someone please go? I'll pay you to go there and then get it to me UPS it or however. So they're finding creative ways.
They are, and now there's 2 businesses that got their license, did all the right paperwork, and they can come down and pick up their parcels and bring
For
it back.
other people.
So,
But it's gonna be a long time, even them doing it, yeah. We should be hearing pretty soon again, I think, now, whether it's gonna open on the 21st of September or not, because they usually let you know about 10 days before,
Oh, okay.
don't they?
so we've heard January, and then I've heard March.
Wow.
That would be
Yeah.
bad if it goes to
Wow.
Mars. It goes that far, it's gonna.
It's awful.
So Debbie now has 2 jobs in Grand Rapids. She's working.
She's traveling and working now. My brother's traveling and working now.
Mhm.
And tell me about Canadians.
Canadians.
What do they
Well,
look like? What do they look
They're like
What are
us.
they?
They like to shop in the US.
They're a huge part of our business, so we're very
Yes.
thankful for them.
Yeah.
Yes.
They like to gamble down at Grand Portage. They go to a lot of youth hockey things that they come over for. Concerts, a lot of concerts, stuff like
They
that.
like
They
to
do
eat
like to-
gas.
They do like to
Don't
travel.
know.
I mean, they'll go to, there's a lot in Florida or Hawaii, wherever we happen to go there. There's a lot of Canadians like to travel a lot, and
So we hear
To meet-
Minnesota nice. Are they Canadian then?
They're very
Oh,
nice.
yeah.
Very nice people, yeah.
Many
They are,
dear
yeah.
friends up there.
yeah.
Yeah, friendly.
Kind of watched a lot of some of the younger kids like grow up, from the years that I've been there. It's been interesting.
Mhm.
And I like email people right now that I know from up there that just kind of keep in contact and see how we're doing, and on Facebook and stuff like that. So yeah,
so what are some of the hot sale items? I know there's always cases of salted nut rolls at the gas station.
They still
Yeah.
love
beef
those.
jerky.
Like those.
Beef jerky.
Jerky's a big thing at the store.
The jam.
Well, they don't buy that. Well, the Americans
Americans
like the
buy it.
Canadian jam.
Yeah.
Canadian
Yeah.
Rydens jam. Still, and that was when they had the store. Still comes in the tin can,
Mhm.
hasn't changed.
Very good jam.
Yeah. They,
Anything new, anything that they don't have up there,
They'll buy.
they'll buy. Which is what you guys said at the old border too.
Candy
Red
and,
dot
yeah.
chips that they couldn't get up there. Anything new and different.
So the beer is no longer there.
It's not
The
a big
whole,
thing
the
anymore.
whole back part now is pretty much souvenirs,
yeah.
shirts, not souvenirs back there, shirts and jackets and that kind of
Mhm.
stuff, and still have a lot of the souvenirs that they used to have way back. And new stuff.
And there's not the hotel anymore.
No, we closed the hotel, I don't know, maybe 9 years ago, and the restaurant we closed 7 years ago. That was a hard decision, and that was a big change.
Yeah.
But we just really had a hard time staffing it, and And I miss it, but I don't miss the headache.
I was this close to being able to finally eat up there for the first time, and you closed it like the day before
And we had
I was like-
amazing, the food was really good. We had amazing
Very
breakfast.
good, yeah.
And
Mhm.
so,
Yeah, everybody raved and raved about it, and I was like, yes, I finally get to have it. And then, nope, closed.
No, south of the border,
Yeah.
Jimmy's dad was the cook up there for many, many years. So that's why he calls that place south of the border. He wanted to keep his border burger from up there.
Oh.
Well, thank you for sharing that story. I always wondered what's south of the border.
It sounds like a
they
Mexican.
lived up
That's
there
right,
for
yeah.
years.
Yeah.
A lot of
Touring
people
now.
come in
They're-
looking for Mexican food. We're like, no, it's south of the Canadian border.
Yeah. Burgers.
Yeah.
What is the strangest thing you saw going on at the border? Can you remember?
So I looked out one day and across the parking lot, and there are, well, I would just cops, or maybe they were border patrol, I don't know, but all we saw was the cops and two guys on their knees like that, and they had snuck across, and
Oh.
they didn't get very far.
Didn't you have a helicopter land up there too?
We had an airplane.
No, a
No, the big helicopter
The Black Hawk. What was it?
landed. They were bringing bigwigs into customs, and I mean, we just heard this, what the heck, and this landed, and wow.
We had a plane that landed in front of
Plane made emergency landing on the
made
highway.
emergency landing on the highway and then
They were going
took
from
off the next
Chicago,
day.
they're fishing in Canada, flying from Chicago to International Falls. And they got lost in the fog.
Oh, yeah, a little bit.
Yeah, a little bit off course.
Did they let the moose and the bear pass through?
Let
Have
the
you seen
what?
anything like that? The moose and
Moose
the
in the
bear?
barrel, yeah.
Do they
Years
get
ago,
to
there was
pass-
lots of moose. You don't see one anymore.
No, right.
I remember one morning, there was 4 moose standing out across, right up by the highway over in front of the station.
Do they have to stop at the cross? You know?
I think these were from the
Check in.
We
reservation.
just said yesterday when we were sitting outside at the Catholic church having coffee in the morning, the wind was so bad. And we said, what's coming down from Canada? Don't they know the border's closed? That wind ain't supposed to come.
What was the story with the beer truck or something falling over?
Oh, no.
Or what? Oh, they used to toss the booze over the bridge. What was the
Oh,
story
they
with
couldn't
that?
take beer into Canada or booze into Canada.
confiscated beer or booze.
Yeah, you're a moose.
So clearly before littering rules and all that, so customs would just throw it all over.
Once a year.
And then probably Dad was probably one of the culprits. My dad. They'd
This
go
one
down,
was
they'd go
too.
down and pick it all up, and I think they'd probably resell it or something.
They had,
Some of
I
them.
remember my
I
brothers
think
had
they
gunny
drank
sacks
some
of beer cans that they'd haul over along the bank, and didn't you have a bottle of sloe gin or something landed in your hand and hit the rock and broke?
Yeah. We sneak down and go around, we get it, pick it up when you're throwing it down there.
Some
They
would float.
start, it's just all stuff that Canadian customs would confiscate from Americans had too much booze going to Canada, they confiscate it and they bring it back to our side. I don't know why they littered our side of the river.
Right.
They bring it over and they'd be opening cans and bottles, but then get tired of that, could add so many, they just started just throwing 6 packs and 12 packs and whatever in the river.
We have a question from one of our viewers.
Oh.
They're watching.
Oh, boy, they are?
Yeah.
They're what?
Oh, I didn't realize we were live on YouTube right now.
Yes, we are live. Yeah, no. How does everyone fit in the Boomers, Fords, Baki in relation to Pete and Joy? Do you know?
So I'm Lori Boomer. I was Lori Ryden. My dad was their brother.
Okay.
My dad Larry was their brother.
Okay.
And you're the-
The Baki was my married name many
Okay.
years ago. That's all that's there.
But
She's
you were
Debbie
born-
Ryden.
And then
Right.
their daughter, yeah.
And
what was the other
Ford-
name? Ford.
Ford, they
My
worked.
sister.
They worked at the
Restaurant.
border
Yeah.
restaurant,
Yeah,
and then their
My
Our
sister
daughter
used to be married
married
to
to
Ford.
Jimmy Ford.
Yeah.
Was married to Jimmy Ford at one time. So
So how is the Rydens history relationship with Grand Portage? That's kind of another big community, you know, up there.
We've always got along well with them.
Mhm.
very good, yeah.
We went to school up there
We
too
all
with the
went to
kids,
school.
and we've
Went to school
known
there,
all the
school there.
kids.
log school building down there.
It was
Um,
first to the fourth, or first to the eighth grade. Then when they started in the ninth grade, then we all went to Grand Marais. Because we used to, when we went to school from home, my mom and dad, someone would drive us from Pigeon River to Mineral Center, where we'd meet the Grand Portage bus, and the Grand Portage bus would take us to Reservation River, and we would get on the Grand Marais bus and go on to school. So we'd leave home at 6:30 in the morning
Yeah,
and get home at
5:36.
5:36 at night.
It was a long day. Then when we got, my older brother got driver's license in probably in 55 or something, 54. Dad bought an old 39 Chevy and we drove that to Mineral Center. And we'd sit there all day and go back,
It'd be awful cold to get back in that car.
get out of the school bus, get in that cold car, so we're sitting there all day.
Yeah, but I heard some stories where, I don't know if you were driving or dad was driving. You wanna go to school today? Nope. Into the ditch.
That was
That
Mr.
must've been
Larry.
Larry.
Because then it was just Clayton and myself and Larry. And he said, you guys got anything important in school, any tests or anything you really have to be to school for? And we'd say nope. And so we'd hit the ditch.
Don't give my son any ideas here.
I think my children are watching too.
It always was fairly quiet. In the wintertime, there wasn't a whole lot of stuff going on, but then when the Grand Portage Casino opened up,
That really
That was
helped the
a
business
Yeah.
for the winter. Mhm. And we always have been very active when they used to have the Halloween carnivals and all the stuff down there too. It was donate Christmas programs, yeah. So always gotten along with them very, very well. Played cards with Jimi Hendrickson, who was the chief for many, many years. His wife and him would come up and we'd play cards in the evenings and
yeah, get along pretty well with everybody down there.
the guards, whatever. There was
Now there's so many different people that
you don't know.
you don't recognize.
The only ones you're talking about aren't here.
Used to know everybody,
anymore.
used to know everybody lived there, but now I don't know. Very few of the old timers left, so.
That was when the casino come in and you get a lot more different people that
Well,
came
we
back.
used to be closed in the wintertime
Yeah.
too.
Yeah.
Yeah, it used to be closed.
And I think when the casino opened is when we started staying open year round, wasn't it?
Yeah, that's when that was a big boost for us.
And when did the casino open?
Boy, I don't know.
15 years?
No,
Oh,
longer. The
yeah.
casino was open when I
Yeah.
got married.
I'm talking about the other, that's right. I'm talking about the thing.
Had to be late 80s.
Wasn't it the Radisson? Didn't they, it was called the
Yeah, but it
Radisson
wasn't a
at
casino
first.
right away, was it? It was
Right.
just
Just the hotel,
hotel,
and then
yeah.
it
I don't remember
changed
when they put
to,
the casino onto it, to be honest with you.
well, the Radisson franchise had it first, and then what was it?
Just the Grand Portage.
Grand
Portage.
Radisson had it for 5 years to train the reservation and operate
Okay.
It
themselves.
was open then,
Oh,
so.
that's right.
The lodge was open. I mean, the restaurant and everything down there when my mom was still alive, and that was 44 years ago when they first built the.
How do you deal with the remoteness there? I mean, you've got to get supplies to supply your store and your gas station, and
It just costs a little more to.
You get used
We
to
get
it.
deliveries, yeah.
We get deliveries and
Instead of driving to work every day, we drive to get groceries. Instead of, we walk to work and drive everywhere else. Now I drive to work.
Trust me, Deb puts a lot of miles on when her son was going to school and going to basketball and baseball and all those
And sand too.
games
All
and
those kids and sports.
so you had semis bringing up your supplies. Always, like even in the 40s, 50s. How was that?
They trucked it up there.
North Shore Freight?
At
Used
the
to haul
old
beer
border.
and
North Shore
stuff,
Freight
didn't
and a
they,
lot of stuff up.
from Grand Marais?
And then it was
One of them.
Val Dahlbeck had a bulk station in Grand Marais, brought gas up there. And then they lived with it smaller, they had a small single axle truck that they, back then, but now they got semis, but it was go back in the 40. When he first started, I remember Val Dahlbeck was driving it, was going in, hauling gas.
Wayne Anderson remembers when he was 18 delivering gas up there.
Maybe Wayne did?
Yep.
who was it, used to always go up there too. No,
Mel Sundin.
the one that died, that Danny's got that globe. Bobby Don.
Bobby Don, yeah.
Was it Bobby? No.
Bobby Don Brazil, Bobby Leonard. Was it one of the freight drivers?
Yeah, Bobby Leonard was a freight driver. I was trying to think of who delivered.
Jerry
Pasadena.
Jacobson was a truck
Sure,
driver.
Jacobson was there, yeah.
Excuse me.
Zimmerman.
Another question, did you own the land that Grand Portage State Park is now? I remember an old trail that would go to High Falls like 40 years ago. Did you own the land?
They bought,
No.
we owned one part of it,
Yeah, one part of
and
it.
then we sold it to
State.
the state, or Grand Portage owns it. I think the state bought it.
Like
And
state.
then
Yeah,
state
to make,
turned
to
it
make
over
the state park.
Make it big, yeah, the new state.
On
make the new
the
state
western
park
edge
bigger.
of it, where the parking lot is and stuff like that was.
There always was a trail to High Falls, but there was also a trail right from our place
Mhm.
there too, that we could go different than what other people used to.
Dad bought the property from Dorothy Juvelin. She used to have a little bar tavern right next to the river that some of the Canadians would come across by boat and go in there and drink
Before there was a
Before the
road.
before the highway was there. We
Yeah,
could come around.
40s, 50s.
She
Good
was from
fishing
the
land.
cities,
Oh,
but
yeah,
she
it's
lived
down by
up
the
there
landing.
Yeah,
pretty
there's
much of the
a
time.
little road from the Canadian side, went down by Middle Falls Park, was across from up from High Falls ways. There's a road went from there, just a little one-lane road down into where the state park is now. And it was Bill Hirsch or Jack Hirsch had a
Jack
place,
Hirsch.
had a docks down there and boats that he rent. Well, so you drive in the Canadian side, Blair, or he'd row across over and pick you up and come back and you could rent a boat and go fishing. That was kind of neat.
That was way before you guys.
And the land that Dad bought where our store is now, someone else was trying to buy that land from Dorothy's husband, I guess it was, or her boyfriend, whatever he was. And then they found out that it wasn't on the river where the cabins and the little bar was and the boat docks. The land wasn't actually on that land when they started surveying and stuff. So it was what was it? His name? Einar Blomqvist. Yeah, Einar Blomqvist. He didn't want to buy it then because it wasn't on the river. So I don't know how Dad found out about it, but then Dad found out that the road is going right through that 80 acres.
So that's when they got it.
That's when he bought it. I don't know what year it was. In the 50s sometime.
Yeah,
Late
late
50s or
59, something like that.
And then
Yeah.
didn't he build Dorothy a house to
Built her
live
house.
in?
Mhm.
Yeah.
That was part of
Like
it.
That was part of the deal for buying the property from her.
She had a little cabin
Built her a
back
little
there.
house there.
That went down after your dad sold the property
They
to
tore it, yeah.
where
It
they
became part of the parking lot,
parking lot for the
state park.
state park down there. Yeah.
So who lives in the 1959 house now? Do you live in the?
Sam,
I-
Sam
Oh, you
does.
do, okay,
Mhm.
all right,
they remodeled it.
Mhm.
yeah.
Nana lived there for a long time at the new border.
Yeah, she
Mhm.
was, yeah.
It's funny if we had some pictures. I don't know if we got any here or not, but when they brought the house up and the customs building up from the old border and stuff going through the rock cut, all you see is a big building and rock on both sides.
Yeah.
Going through that rock cut. I don't know if we
That
had
was
any
a big,
pictures of
I
that
big
think I
or
have
not.
it at
house.
home, too, yeah.
Yeah.
They were that big house and the customs office.
But when you come to the new border, you can see, it's an apartment now, but you see the awning that you would drive under when it was customs, so,
Yeah.
you know.
That's still there.
Didn't they
That's
have
just-
the
that's the house.
power company have to come and lift the power lines or disconnect them to,
Telephone
At Mineral
company.
Center.
to bring the
Telephone
houses
wires.
through? And that costed quite a bit of money, didn't
They
it?
did, they charged them a lot of money.
Lots of money to lift them to get
You
the
wouldn't really have to
vehicles,
build telephone.
houses through.
In the telephone company had a little building right at the old border. They rented from Dad for switches and all of what it was for telephone stuff. And they were paying peanuts for that. So when
They charged.
he charged them to raise all them wires over the house, his rent went up on it.
Yeah.
You were asking about bears and moose and that. We used to have bear cubs in a fence that Dad would get, and we would make Kool-Aid and put it in bottles and then sell it to the tourists for, I think it was 5 cents a bottle to feed the bears. And one guy popped the top and he was going to drink it. And he said, "No, you can't drink that. It's not because the bottles aren't sterilized or anything. They're just washed. They're for the bears." But we had a lot of people to come and see all the bears, see the bears there. That was a big attraction.
That's what I was looking for, yeah.
The one with Dad with the
The one
bear.
with
Yeah.
Dad.
Oh, you have pictures, huh?
He's got a bear on both legs. He's feeding one, and another one's crawled on his leg and hanging onto his leg.
Yeah, it's a neat picture. You hard to see the one.
Yeah, you can't see the
How
one
would
on
you
his
get the bears?
Some people shoot the mother, some bear hunters would shoot them and there'd be cubs available, and then, I don't know, they'd give them to dad, or dad would buy them from them or somewhere, I don't know. How they- Then in the fall, when they got grown up, and we'd keep over the winter, then we'd sell them to Blue Zoo or somebody.
Yeah.
They were kind of fun.
Yeah, I bet. I mean, not a
Tourists
lot of
love-
people grow up with bears.
Tourists love to look at the bears.
Well, down by Split Rock too, they had bears.
Mhm.
I remember that.
I mean, people love to go and see the
Yeah,
bears.
oh, yeah.
Didn't be any of that.
It's not being here anymore.
I've just seen it. a long
I just
time.
seen it today.
Yeah, you looked at it,
It's
well,
an area view from,
So I was looking at something else.
yeah, there's a custom going through the rock.
that's before
Oh, there
a lot
it
of
is.
other buildings were down there, so it's kind of hard to see that.
So this is where the store is at now
That's the
in
new store.
1963.
That's when
Kind
the
of an
border
aerial
changed,
view.
yeah.
There was an article that Dick Anderson had in the paper, Cook County paper, about the Pigeon River ghost town. When the new road opened up.
Oh, they called the old border the ghost town?
Yeah, the old border was a ghost
The
town then.
highway
When the
road?
bridge, yeah, the bridge was gone, it was just a ghost
Yeah,
town.
there's nothing there anymore.
Nothing there.
Well, I think when on the other side, the guy that owned the store over there, he got a settlement from the government.
Yeah, they get
Closing
compensated.
compensation. He
Poppy
couldn't
sell
own-
it when they moved, or they just moved?
They just moved first.
Who bought it then?
Well, it's a real estate person.
Mm.
We sold it to farmers, it's not State Farm, or some real estate company that Trigby Hansen was worked for them then. And then he sold it to, what's her name?
Hearts? No.
Joanne Hart.
Joanne Hart bought it from him then.
Show him the one on the leg. You can't really see it.
Oh,
There is a bear on the leg besides Dad's holding him.
right there.
Right there, yeah.
Dad has his hand in a cast because
Yeah.
The bear?
You don't
Tell
wanna
him.
tell him that.
All right, why is his hand in a cast?
One of the customers got a little rowdy.
They used to have a lot of fights in the beer garden,
Yeah.
drinking that soap water, you know, they still get.
He's a pretty big guy, so I guess he hit one of the guys, and John Light
His
told him,
teeth.
He broke his thumb when he hit the guy.
the guy's teeth didn't, his
Some
teeth
or other,
cut his
I broke his
hand.
thumb anyway, something.
Well, Al Omley got hurt too, didn't he? The same
Yeah,
time, he was
yeah,
trying
yeah,
to
same
help,
time.
same
Trying to help.
time.
but
Yeah.
Yeah.
the sheriff, John Light told him, just take a.
Get a crescent wrench somewhere, don't hit him with your hand.
Oh.
He was a
Careful,
big man
man.
though. I remember when we were little, he would just drag him out.
Yeah.
I hear lots of
Throw him out
stories
the door,
about
one in
it.
each arm, yeah.
It wasn't fun, it was all that Sundays I.
That's why we bought the gas station instead of the
Yeah.
store. He didn't want nothing to do with the beer
Drunks
part
and all
of
that
it.
stuff. So, enough of that, then clean up that mess on Mondays after they went all that cigarette stuff, you know, then you can smoke inside and all that stuff, all the stinking ashtrays and the beer spilled all over the place, and we'd have to take a day to clean the whole place up, and all the tables and chairs to move and sack them.
He's so mad about it, he hasn't drank since.
Over 50 years.
Well,
Anything else?
well, one of the things at the end of the interview, that Gordy had asked Ed and Mabel was, what do you, what does the future look like? Is there things that are going to change? And I should have marked it where it was.
What was their answer?
Well, that's what I'm trying to get to here.
If it came to fruition, huh?
Well, that has a lot to do with the COVID right now, whether
Yeah.
there's gonna be a future up
Whether
there.
the
or not.
Canadian border
There'll be
opens
a
or not,
future.
That changed everything all
and
over.
when, yeah.
Last
Someday.
year, they just spent tons of money on new blacktop. And the whole thing in October, I think it was,
Yeah.
September, October, just had it all blacktop. Nobody's been down to see it.
No,
It's crazy.
Yeah, so Gordy asked, do you think things are going to develop more up here, or do you think it's pretty much the way it's going to be for a while? And at that time, he had the beer garden, the motel, the store,
restaurant.
Restaurant.
the restaurant. And Ed said, I don't see that it's going to change much more now. The last years, they've built 3 houses in here now, though, of course, that's just for themselves, for the ones that work here. And Gordon said, so as far as tourism goes, you don't see any real expansion in that area. Ed said, I can't see it. It's going to do a lot more. I'm afraid it's going to go down this summer, really high priced gas. And in 1980, well, how much was gas? Probably.
High for that time, probably.
Yeah. Gordon asked, do you think there might be a resurgence of boat travel like they used to come into Hirsch's place there?
Yeah.
Is that what that was?
Yeah, Hirsch and John Hirsch.
Yeah, and Ned said, no, I don't think that will change any. There ain't that much room to fish. There's pretty good fishing now if they put their boats in at that High Falls. And let's see. I wanted to get to the part, he pretty much thought that everything would stay the same, and he just hoped that it would be, his sons would have something to do for a while, and it would take care of their families.
It has changed.
Yeah,
it has
It has
changed, yeah.
changed. The casino, came in and made it better for the winter. They got the packages now, which are a booming business. I mean, you get how many, 3,000 packages a day in the winter time for Christmas and stuff like that?
At Christmas.
Yeah. Get lots of packages a day and that brings them down.
So foretelling the future then, we'll put the young ones on. For the next time an interview like this is done, where do you think things will be at with Rydens Border Store and Rydens Gas?
Well, hopefully still continuing as successful as it is now. Whether it'll still be in the family, none of us know. All of our kids left us.
So the fourth generation
Fourth
doesn't
generation,
seem to
yeah.
want it yet.
Yeah.
Yep, they're not.
We'll cross that
The
bridge.
third generation might be stuck for a while. But hopefully, the border opens and we can get back to
Get back to
business.
normal businesses.
business period, yeah, it would be nice.
Yeah.
But I don't see it changing a whole lot.
I don't either.
No, not as drastic as it has changed over the other years.
The Canadians, the fishermen, the hunters,
They're always gonna come.
they're
They're always
always,
gonna come.
yeah.
Mhm.
Where the fishermen used to come on like Saturday morning, now they kind of trickle out throughout the week. Like Saturday, used to be just slammed early in
Yeah,
the
it's
morning.
kind of like the
kinda like-
hardcore fishermen, like when Grandpappy, way back then, our restaurant was busy at 4 o'clock in the morning. They just had to get there.
Yeah.
And then the rest of the day, we were just like, now it's,
Yeah. Everybody's
I mean,
kinda-
Saturdays are still crazy, but
Yeah, but it's kind of spread
it's
out.
spread out.
People aren't in a hurry to, get anywhere. They're just kind of, it's more spread out. They're not early risers like they used to be.
I know. Yep. There was always a big lineup waiting for the duty free to open and,
Mhm.
when the fishermen were going through in the spring. That's kind of changed, yeah.
So let's wind it up here. First of all, I'll ask, is there anything that we didn't ask that we should have asked?
Probably we can't remember.
How about let's end with sharing, putting you a little bit on the spot, I realize, of sharing a favorite memory in connection with Rydens of, you know, whether it's growing up there when you were a kid, something that happened, or something recently, doesn't matter.
You know what you didn't touch on is, remember how the store would always host Thanksgiving? In the
For the
restaurant.
Fry's, Rydens,
Yeah.
Carlson's.
Yeah.
There'd be a feast at the store. Remember that the horseshoe counter we had would be all the,
Yeah, right.
and then they'd kind of go sit where the beer gardens were, and
Yeah, it was a big dinner, big thing.
That was a
Celebration.
lot of the families that were always doing things together. There was the Fry's, the Rydens, the Carlsons, the Obergs.
Yeah.
mhm.
Who
Yeah,
else
we
used
all
to
grew
come
up
to that?
together.
Jane and Jimmy.
Thanksgiving even at the old border, and 4th of July's, we'd all get together, and of course, some of us married into the Carlsons and the Rydens and the Sprys and the Rydens.
Used to have dances up there too, at the old border and the new border for a while.
Square dancing.
Wedding dance, we had our wedding
Square
dances
sides,
there,
yeah.
yeah. And
Young Old Timers YOT Dance Club. There was a club in the county that the YOT was to go from Poland to town halls and have dances, different places. They'd come up there too.
It was just fun living at the old border, and I never
was.
was at the new border, so I never did live there.
I
got
wish
married
I
and-
could, seeing all the pictures, I wish I could go back and
Oh, I
see
wish
what
you
it was
could too,
like.
yeah.
You know,
Mhm.
It
got to
was-
see that for the old border.
so much more personal at the old border because we knew all the customs, Canadian, American,
They're all just right
they
there.
were right there, you know, you could just
You do
walk,
whatever-
they'd walk over and have pie and coffee and stuff
Yeah.
like that. And
No,
we got-
isn't it a mile away from the store?
Well-
Almost a mile from the store to the customs now, where it used to be right
Oh,
right
half
there.
a mile, half a mile.
No, it's way too far.
Half a mile, yeah. You don't
Then
even know them
They sit in a
anymore.
restaurant, and drink coffee or have pie or something, go up to a restaurant and check a car through it.
Yeah, it's a little more busier now.
Yeah.
Pretty lax back then.
When we first took over the station, we built a house up there, not right away, I guess, but probably in 88, something like that, the year Mom died, 87.
Yeah, something like
We were
that.
building a house, we built it right next to the gas station. Boy, was that a mistake. 3:00 in the morning.
Oh, jeez.
But it wasn't that busy then, so, you know, I could go in and make cookies, and we had a bell, so it would ring if somebody went into the station, run down and wait on them, or I could see a car if a car came to the pumps. So we could do other things besides, you know, that. But it was not fun living there at night sometimes when people would,
Back when there was no pay at the pump.
when there was no pay at the
Yeah,
pump and any of
pay at the
that
pump,
stuff. And Pete would ask them, "Don't you sleep?" And they'd say, "No, we got to get there." "Well, I don't sleep either," he says.
The trucks would come and park there and either engines running. And,
Oh,
you're right there by the station. It's noisy.
one night I got a phone call and we were in bed sleeping. This is after we moved the house back up to where it is now. It's behind it. We moved it up, I don't know how many feet, and
300-400
built
feet up,
the
yeah.
new station where the house was, our house was. Anyhow, got a phone call, and I don't remember what time it was, 1:00 in the morning, 2:00 in the morning, and my kids were teenagers then. And the first thing you think of is, oh my God, something's happened. And it says, "Hello, this is the Cook County Sheriff's Office." I went, "Oh God." We have a patrolman up there who was on a chase or something or other, and he needs gas. Is there any way you could get up? Oh yes, thank you. But that was scary.
How about from the youngins at the end of the table, at the kids' table down there? What favorite memories of growing up with the Rydens store? And
I remember
gas
because we had a lot of cousins there, and in the wintertime, the store, remember playing games around the store, 12:00 midnight.
Yep. We all kind of grew up together,
Yeah,
and I think that's why we're so close. Is we just, you know, pretty much. I mean, I live right behind her. My
Yeah.
brother lives over here, and
we're all together.
so we're all
still.
pretty close. Which it's a good thing we get along. But yeah, growing up was fun.
Yeah.
I think favorite memories is we always went to Nana Poppy's house for Christmas Eve.
I was gonna
our-
say the same one.
And now we go to her house for Christmas Eve because it's still, Nana
Same
Poppy's
house.
tradition.
House.
Yeah. So that's kind of one of
We
our-
told her
Yeah.
when she bought the house that you have to keep the tradition going.
Yeah.
But when we were kids, there was a lot more snow in December than there is now.
Yeah.
We used to play outside all day on Christmas Eve and build,
Tunnels.
tunnels in
Yeah.
the snow banks were, and now you're lucky if you have snow on Christmas.
But they complained a lot about the bus ride to Grand Ray. That was not
Yeah.
a long
ride too
No,
for
that was
you
a long
guys.
day, yeah.
Our kids didn't like it either,
Yeah.
but we figured we survived it, they can survive it.
Exactly. I had to ride from the end of the Gunflint Trail, so I feel your pain.
Yeah, that was a long one
That was the
too.
longest ride in the
That
company,
was longer than ours, I
the
think.
longer than this one.
Yeah, it was if I was actually registered at the end of the Gunflint Trail where I got picked up, it would have been the longest ride in the United States.
Oh, was that right?
Wow.
But because I was registered at a house in town and just rode occasionally, Landy's had the second longest bus ride in the United States.
Is that right? In the
Wow.
United States? I didn't
Yeah.
realize that.
Wow.
Wow. Yeah.
Well, I know I heard Cook County had the longest bus route in the state of Minnesota.
Yeah. That was a big
You know,
area.
up there, and West End. So.
Well, like you said, we used to come from Portage and go to reservation, change buses.
Yeah.
And then go in. I think some of them still do that. I think, don't they bring, no, I guess
They
don't,
used to,
huh?
yeah, just recently they would come pick up the Portage kids, the local bus would. Then they would meet at the center, then they would get on the high school bus and go to town, but I don't think they do that anymore.
I don't
No,
think so either, no.
it's the regular bus.
So,
Well, thank you so much for having us over, letting me invite us over for coffee and stories, and hopefully we could do it again sometime.
Yeah, well, thank you.
Okay, please say it's coffee with, what you said?
Mildred.
Mildred.
Coffee with Mildred.
Mildred.
Yeah.
She's just a fictional person, or was it really Mildred?
It was after Mildred Anderson. I actually never had coffee with her, but I heard so many stories about people who did have coffee with her and hearing stories. And it was like every other older lady that I would, go and parents would drag me along to go have coffee, but so much good history. And
Was she related to Wayne Anderson?
yep, that's his mom.
What was that?
Yep. So good night, everyone. Thank you for joining us. Again, become a member in September at the Cook County Historical Society. If you go to the Facebook page or cookcountyhistory.org, become a sustaining member or make a donation. We have great prizes this month. Good night from, Hovland, Minnesota.
Yes, it's quite the hike to get here for coffee.
Yeah.
A stoplight on the highway.
I know.
In Cooktownee, huh?
Yes.
Good night all.
Good night.
Good night.
That's pretty cool. There was actually somebody watching the